Hi, in this video we're going to show you how to create and restore a Windows system image backup using the free Lazesoft Recovery Suite Home Edition. So we've already done a video going over what you could do with the program, and we also did another video on how you could use it to clone your Windows drive to a new drive in case you want to maybe upgrade your drive and have it be bootable. So now we're going to show you how you can back up your computer with the same program here. All right, so let's open up the program and see how it works here. So you'll have to be an admin to run it. Okay, so at the top here we have the system backup section here. So I'm kind of recording in a low resolution, so that's why it looks a little weird on the screen here. So we'll click on that. Okay, so where we're going to back it up to, we have this other drive. So here is our Windows drive. Let's see how large the files are. So 45 gigs used on that drive, and then we have this 200 gig backup drive with nothing on it. So obviously you're going to have to make sure you have somewhere where you have the space to make a backup on. And obviously it can't be on your C drive because that's where you're going to be restoring it to. Okay, so if you already have backup files created, you can click on Add Backup and load them into the interface here, but we don't have any on this computer. So I'm going to click on System Backup. Okay, so let's call this Windows Backup, for example. All right, so the source disk is going to be our 150 gig drive. You can see our Windows partitions here. And it shows you all of them, so obviously you want to copy all the partitions there. All right, so for the target directory, it already picked the E drive and made a folder called Backup Data. So you could browse to it and change it to something else if you want. We'll just go with that. Actually, we'll just make it the E drive itself. Keep it out of a folder. And it tells you how much space you have here. All right, so we're going to click on Next here. Okay, you could schedule it if you want. So you could do monthly, weekly, daily, one time if you want to schedule it just for one time. Schedule it on login, on startup, or do not schedule. So we're going to do that option here. So you can do full backups, incremental backups, and differential backups, and then how many you want to retain, depending on how much space you have on your drive. So obviously you're going to need to do a full backup the first time to get a full backup. So it says the full backup scheme will retain the number of backups you specified, then when it reaches the specified number, it will automatically delete the old backup images. So that's good. And the same goes for incremental, and the same for differential. So if you don't know what these are, you might want to do a little web search before you choose which one you're going to use here. But the first one's going to be a full backup here. And then after you do your full backup, you could have your other ones be incremental and differential. All right, so you can add a comment to your backup job if you want. Image mode, you could do used sector backup. So this will only back up sectors that have been used. But you can do a sector by sector backup, which will be a longer backup. All right, so file size, we have the default. You could do a custom size. And if you're using a FAT32 drive, then you're limited to 4 gigabytes. That'll be split into 4 gigabyte files. So it's not really recommended to use a FAT32 drive to do so because we have a bunch of backup files because this is going to be a large backup. You could do a custom size if you want to split them up, or you could do a fixed size. So we're going to stick with the default here. All right, then we have compression options. So medium is recommended, then there's no compression. And then you could choose high compression, so that's going to make the backup file smaller, but make the backup take longer. All right, then we have some exclusion options. So you probably don't want to back up your Windows page file and hibernation file because those could be quite large. And then you could have the computer be shut down after the backup. You could assign a password to the backup image so nobody can restore it without it. And then you could have the backup files verified after each operation. And of course, this will make it take longer as well. So I'm going to say no to that for now. I'm going to click on Save. All right, so here's my backup job already configured here. So I could edit it from here if I want, delete it, locate it, restore it, and verify it. So we have to run it first before we could restore it. So I'm going to click on Start. It says, are you sure you want to run the backup here? We're going to say yes. All right, so the backup has started. All right, so this will take a little bit of time here, so I will pause the video and then be back when it's completed. All right, so the backup job is complete. Probably took about 10 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. So let's take a look at the files here. All right, so we just have one file here. 27 gigs in size, so not too bad. All right, so now let's say we wanted to restore our job here. We could select it from our backup list here, click on Restore, and watch what happens though. All right, so first we need to choose the job here, click on Next. Here's the path to our backup that we just saw with all of our partitions. And we want to send it to our 150 gig Windows drive here. And you can see it shows all the partitions that are on the Windows drive, but watch what happens if we click on Commit. So the selected disk is a system disk. You need to create and reboot from a boot disk to restore the system disk. So obviously we can't restore Windows while running Windows. All right, so let's cancel out of that, close this. All right, so to create a boot disk, you could come here to this section, choose your Windows version. So this is the same version of Windows since we're going to be doing this on the same computer here, but you could pick older versions as well. Then you have some options here if you want to choose a different WinPE version. Windows 10 is the default. Add some drivers, format your drive a specific way. FAT32 is the default. And then here you have the option to create a flash drive or create an ISO image, which you could then burn to a flash drive later. Use a CD if you still have one of those, and there's even an option for a USB drive. All right, so I'm not going to go through the process, but all you need to do is simply click the one you want, click on Start, and then that's all there is to it. And then you could boot your computer with your flash drive or CD and then start the restore process. So that's what we're going to do now. All right, so I'm going to close everything out here, shut down, then I'm going to reboot with the boot media here, and then we'll do the restoration. All right, press any key to boot from CD or DVD, just like Windows. So you're going to need to make a selection here with your arrow keys before the timer counts down to 30, otherwise it'll start the live CD by default. And you could also run the memory diagnostic if you need to do that. And then you have some other options when you press F8. So we're just going to go right into the Lazesoft live CD here. All right, so it looks like it's loading Windows, but it's not. All right, so now you can see we have the same type of screen here. So we're going to go into System Backup again. So now we need to add our backup because it's not in the list here. So click on Add Backup. Here's our backup drive, our Windows backup folder, and our backup file. All right, so it says it was imported successfully. So now we can select it here, and now we could click on Restore. Here's the version. Here's the path to the backup file with all the partitions. So we want to put it back on the 150 gig C drive here. You can see it shows all the partitions there. Click on Commit. Say yes to restore now. All right, so here's our summary screen here. So we'll just let this run and then we'll be back when this is finished and see if it worked. All right, so the restore process has completed. So it only took about 3 minutes. So click OK. Click on Finish. Then we could close out of this, close out of this. And then down here at the bottom, we have a little Start button. And we could do a reboot. So we'll go back into Windows and make sure it starts up. All right, so far so good. We have Windows logo. Let's log in here. All right, so now we're back on our desktop. So what I should have done was put a file on the desktop and then restore the backup, and then the file would have been gone. So you're going to have to take my word for it that it actually worked. I have used this several times before and it works just fine. All right, so once again, just download the Lazesoft Recovery Suite Home Edition. It's free. I'll put a link in the description for that. Install it, open it up, create your backup. You could actually do the backup from the boot disk as well. Just kind of go through the wizard here. Make sure you pick the right drives before you run your backup. And then when it's time to restore it, just start up your computer with the bootable media, run your restoration, and that's all there is to it. So one thing to keep in mind when it comes to Windows system image backups is that they're only as good as the date they were made. So if you made one 6 months ago and then you decide to restore it, anything you've done in that past 6 months will be wiped, such as saved files, installed programs, changed settings, and that type of thing. So that's why it's a good idea to do it on a semi-regular basis. Maybe make sure you have a drive that can hold a lot of versions, do it once a week or whatever you want to do, just to make sure you have a current copy. All right, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe.